Good morning, Oracles. My goodness, a 4% gain leads to a green shirt day. I really need to buy different shades of this thing because, gosh, 4% deserves a much brighter green because that was awesome to see yesterday. Now, it's strange because the NASDAQ was doing really well and obviously Tesla did as well, but like Tesla hit like an 850 to 860 wall really hard and it just sat there for the rest of the day. Didn't really do much. And so looking at how Tesla has been trading recently, we talked about it yesterday where, the stock comes down, kind of levels off and then waits for the next major catalyst, which has been negative, and then it brings it down and it levels off again. So are we due for a climb? We talked about it on last night's video about how, there's a lot of uncertainty that's been removed from the market. We're seeing Amazon announcing splits. Google has already announced a split. Does that mean that the door is now open for Tesla to announce a split? Tesla is now the highest priced mega cap stock that's out in the market right now. So will we see one? That has yet to be seen. We don't know, but it kind of seems like the market and the environment is ripe for a split to be okay, seeing as Google and Amazon are doing it. And then looking at, everything else that Tesla has going on, with Austin and Berlin opening up, they're going to most likely, if it doesn't happen this month, it'll probably happen after Q1 earnings, and they're going to get the S&P credit rating increase to investor grade, and at that point, they can also do a buyback. Some companies cannot do stock buybacks until their investor grade rating, but a split and a stock buyback over the summer are now a little bit more prevalent on my radar, and I'm just going to keep an eye on it for right now. Again, we've talked about it many a times on this channel, so I'm not going to get into it again too much. We'll see how it happens. It's going to happen at some point. But again, it's just something that I'm going to keep a little closer eye on. So something else that I'm keeping a little bit of an eye on is paying attention to how the government works when it comes to regulations and different things. And the reason I say this is because the government just announced President Biden is talking about stricter standards when it comes to tailpipes on vehicles. So, you may think this is not a big deal, but the more regulations and things that they put on ICE vehicles, the more difficult it is going to make it for ICE manufacturers to manufacture ICE vehicles. It's going to cost them more money. It's going to deter them from wanting to make ICE vehicles and convert over to EVs faster. And so while, the government can't just say, hey, you have to change over to EVs, they can set the date and say we want to be, this many percent EVs by this date, but they can't just tell everybody you have to do it. But they can make life absolutely miserable for people in making what they wanted to make and kind of forcing them in another direction. Similar to what we saw with COVID things where, they couldn't mandate that everybody had to get a vaccine, but they can say, well, we're not going to mandate that you have to get a vaccine, but we can say that you can't do anything you want to do unless you get a vaccine. And then it kind of forced some people to have to go and get it in order to go and do what they wanted to do. So that's how the government's going to work when it goes to stuff like going over to EVs, renewable energy. So pay attention to the little things like that, because little things like that are what are really going to accelerate our transition over to EVs and renewable energy. I mean, we see this also with, like the sanctions that we have put on Russia. Now, granted, that was done to obviously hamper Russia's attacks on Ukraine and deter them from furthering any progress there. But in that process, they have now put in place something that is now opening a lot of people's eyes to EVs and renewable energy. So a lot of the actions that the government is taking that are not directly commanding or directing, legacy automotive makers to stop making these vehicles, it's just telling a lot of people, oh, you know what? By the way, there are other options out there. You should probably start looking into those because everything else that you are currently doing is way too expensive and it's not going to be around forever. And so when I see all of these little puzzle pieces get put into place little by little all the time, but I see the stock still being depressed and down from where it should be, that just tells me better buying opportunities. Every single time I see something like this, I'm like, ooh, that's another good reason to buy the stock. And despite the fact that the stock was, up or down or whatever it is, it's like, these are the pieces that I follow. It's not so much the stock price itself. It's these little pieces of information, the fundamental pieces that the company puts together that just give me that little bit of when we hit that right moment, the stock is going to accelerate and take off to the moon, and we're just going to be sitting here enjoying the ride because we invested when we saw these little puzzle pieces get put together. And so as far as the stock is going to trade in the near term, tomorrow morning, CPI data is going to be coming out. May see a little bit of uncertainty prior to that in the pre-market. Saw a little bit of in the after hours tonight, a little bit of a pullback in the market. That's just a little bit of uncertainty. I think with the CPI, as long as we come in around what we're supposed to be, which is going to be really high, around 7.9 to 8%, as long as we hit that number, probably won't see much reaction in the market. If it goes higher, we might see a little bit of a red panic. If it comes in super low, that might actually cause a crazy weird rally, but I think we're going to come in line with what we're expecting. And even with the FOMC meeting next week, we kind of know. Jerome Powell has already told us what to expect when it comes to the Fed and their reaction. So as long as we get what the Fed has told us that we're going to be getting, we might actually see the stock move up. We might see it cross $900 again. So again, nobody knows what's going on. And even if we do cross 900, still a lot of uncertainty. We still have to actually see inflation come down. But as long as we see on a month-to-month basis that inflation is progressing where we are expecting it to progress to or come down to, I think we might actually see the market sort of recovering. Again, the market dislikes uncertainty more than anything. And even if it's bad news, they can price it in. So everything that the market sees gets priced in, and it gets priced in very quickly. So when they see the oil prices go up, market reacts to it, hits the price it should be at. You got to remember that a lot of the trading, the majority of the trading, is done by computer algorithms. They can do math super fast. So they do the math, figure out where everything should be at, trade and sell down to where it should be. That's it. And then everybody else trading along with it just kind of fluctuates that along the way. But eventually we hit that point where, all right, the market's like, this is priced in and we're good to go. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of negativity that's already been priced into the market. So how much more negativity can we get? I don't know. Obviously, we've already seen two major issues this year between, super high inflation, higher than we expected, and then the Russia-Ukraine war. So between those two, who knows what else we can see, but that's been priced in. So unless we get something that is even worse that brings it down further, I think we might actually see a little bit more green. And then I'm going to have to go out and buy myself some more green shirts because eventually we are not going to get red all the time and get beat down all the time. Eventually we will be getting green again, so I will have to invest in some new shirts. And I think I'm going to have to get some really fun shirts for when we hit these super high rally days and we hit some moon days, so that'll be pretty awesome. And so we're seeing more and more Model Ys sitting outside Berlin and Austin waiting to get delivered. We have the Austin GigaFest coming up on April 7th. I have the week off, waiting to see if I have any way of being able to get into it. Looking at my schedule and the things that I have going on, I do have that week off for vacation, but if I do not get an invite, I might not end up going down there. I might have some other personal things I need to attend to, but I actually have a lot more vacation this year due to our change in our PTO policy. So because of that, I will find out a later time during the year. And if I don't get the invite and I can't go during GigaFest, I'll find out when they're doing factory tours. And I will still get down there to be able to provide videos for you guys from that on a factory tour. So if any of you guys know about invites that I can get one, please reach out to me and let me know, because I would definitely get down to Austin for the GigaFest if that's a possibility. Otherwise, I will get down there at some point this year and I'll enjoy that and show you guys everything I can. And heck, maybe I can work it out where I can pick up my delivery right from the factory and drive it on home, and I can share the entire trip home with you guys. That would be amazing. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.